Hello, welcome back to my studio. And today we're going to talk about, and you're going to get to watch me paint on this watercolor canvas by Master's Touch. I reviewed it a couple weeks ago, and some of you requested that I go ahead and do a design on it so you can see how it works. What we're going to do then is we're going to try to cover the wet on wet, wet on dry, veins on damp, veins on dry, and we're going to see how this canvas actually handles those types of techniques and see if it's going to hold up to the type of painting that we normally do with watercolors. So this again is the surface that we're talking about. It's fairly thin, and they tell you on the back of the packaging to go ahead and tape it down. Now I did use my normal transfer paper, and it, as you can see, it's well used, and I was able to transfer my design, and this is the design that we're going to be painting, and I did it this way. So I did transfer it onto the board, but as you can see, as I sat down this morning to do this video, it's starting to buckle already, and nothing has changed other than me putting the design on there and using my little pen here with the Frisket to make sure that we save the inside surface. Now, one other thing that I noticed, every time I put the design on any surface, I always try to erase it to lighten it so that it doesn't show through the painting, and this is a fairly light color. This eraser did not work well at all on this surface. The kneadable eraser, once I rolled it, worked fairly well. I can see that there's a mark up here, and see, this one takes it off pretty well, so that's gone already, so that's a good thing. And it did lighten the design. I don't want to go too light, I want you to be able to see it. But that was the only eraser, just so you have that information, that actually worked on this surface. So I'm going to go to my Holbein paints, and with this design we're going to, just going to set some of my things aside here so we have a little bit more space, and I'm going to fold this so we can just see this, but I will have a copy of this on the upper left hand corner of the video, so you'll be able to see that. Don't need that any longer. But okay, so there's our design. I'm gonna pull out some blank watercolor pages so that cut up so that we can choose our colors. I got fresh water. I cover everything up so no dust gets in it, and I'm going to just wake up some of my brushes here. I haven't painted yet this morning, so now I do want to take my blending and glazing medium and add that to one of my smaller buckets here. So I've got some fresh water with my blending and glazing medium in it, because that's the way I paint. So I want to see and make sure that this surface is going to handle that. There we go. So we've got that. Now I'm going to take my blending brush. I'm going to set our surface beside, and I want you to see palette doesn't want to come up. There we go. the colors that we choose. Now this is kind of a blue violet, I would say. So I'm going to start there. Get some water on my palette to start out. And the first blue, look at my cheat sheet here, is Cerulean Blue. And then this one is going to be Ultramarine. We're going to start with those two and see how they work together here. I love Cerulean Blue. It makes those beautiful, beautiful skies. Getting that in here first. And then the Ultramarine, which is a much stronger, deeper blue color. Now, just going to try this on the paper first. This might end up being a glazing. Yeah, that's going to be beautiful. We'll do that as a glaze at the end. So that's the first one. All right, now I'm going to take those same two colors, add some more water to my palette here. It's about the same value, and I want to add our violet. Which is going to be our last color. This is like a dioxide violet. Oh, that's going to be lovely. Let's try that color once and see. Very pretty. Now on the corner of this, I'm going to add a lot more purple. This will be our dark value. We do want to add just a little more ultramarine to that so it gets really pretty. Isn't that lovely? This will be our darker purple color. This will be our mid value. Clean out my brush. And up here, which will be our light value, is just straight water to that mid value. So those will be our three values for the flowers. So I think that's going to work out really well. And then we'll do a glaze if we need to. We may not need to do that glaze. But let's go ahead and get that light value on there too. It's nice and light, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so that's going to be really lovely. Very see-through for the highlight, which is exactly what I want. All right. So we got our color choices out there. That's a good thing. Set my mixing brush aside, put my palette back. And bring back my board. So let's start out with the wet on wet. This is my water brush. I always keep a separate water brush, but I'm going to bring this down just a little bit so you can see me a little bit closer. We're going to start with this petal back here. Just see how this canvas handles a wet on wet technique. This will be an experiment for all. I have not painted on this surface yet either, so This is a great experiment for us. Now normally when I'm using like an Arches 100% cotton cold press surface, I will put 2 water glazes down and let the first one soak in and then add the second one after it's starting to dry. Don't believe, as I see the water puddle on this surface, that we're going to have to do that. We're going to just do 1 layer of a glaze for wet on wet. And I always say make sure your water glaze is right where you want it. You don't want any puddles. The water application is just as important as the paint application. I'm just going right around. And I'm going to let that soak in. It looks like they got a lot of water on there. But we're going to let it soak in for a few minutes. And if I need to pick some of it up, I certainly can with my brush. I'm looking at the side of my surface to see how much is on the surface of the paper and if it's soaking in at all. It's starting to a little bit. So I wiped my brush. And I'm just going to pick some of that water up. Because I got a feeling it was just going to sit there. It was not really soaking in very well. And then if you need to, once you've soaked some of it up, to move the water that's on there around, go right ahead and do that. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just kind of sweeping it across this petal so that it's an even application of water, even after I've picked it up, some of it. Yeah, no, that looks really a lot better. A lot of water that was on there. Now I'm picking up my number 4 brush. I'm going to start with that. And I have to clean it out first, because I haven't used it yet today. Yeah, that water has spread very well. So we're going to pick up our lightest value on this brush. And we're going to apply that to the entire petal. Now I have it really, really pale, so I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not. It appears on camera that you are. And that's what I want. I want 3 values on here. And this is our lightest, and this is going to go over the entire petal. I just keep going back and picking up more of that light value. Now this pen that I used for the frisket really worked nice. It accepted that very easily, this canvas, so that's something you want to know too. There we go. Now I'm going to go to our mid value and I'm going to pick that color up. Now this picture doesn't have a lot of value changes, so we're going to add some in. And this petal is going to get quite a bit of the mid value. Seems to be mixing well on the surface, so that's good. Surface is still damp, so that's good as well. These are all important things because if it didn't stay damp long enough, we'd know that we'd have to really rush to get these other values in there, but that doesn't seem to be the case with this. I am going to try drying this as well, just because I want to see how this surface is going to handle drying with a hairdryer. So that's what I normally do, just to save time if nothing else. Okay, so we got our 2 values down. Now let's go ahead with our darkest value. This one's going to be really, really pretty. And it's darkest right towards the center of that petal. Okay. I'm happy with it so far. This is mingling well. I was a little worried that it wasn't going to dry out, but it appears that it is, so that's a good thing too. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to let that one dry. Now we're going to skip the next petal and we're going to come over to this petal. Now this petal is a little different. The very center is going to have that dark color, but then it goes to the light value all the way to the edge here, and then this edge will be the dark value. So I'm going to clean off my brush. And I'm going to just pick up some more water. I'm not going to put on quite so much this time, and maybe we won't have to take it off. It's a good idea to do something like this just to test the surface if you've never painted on it before, because you want to know how it's going to react to each technique. And every surface reacts a little differently. There we go. Spread that around a little bit. Okay, good. So now we should have some time. I want to make a little bit more of the lightest value, and I'm going to just steal some from that very first puddle we created. It makes life a little easier. Add some water to it. clean out my mixing brush. I like to clean my mixing brush every single time because I don't want it to have some of the old paint in it and then it doesn't mix the colors you're looking to mix. It makes a different color. So we're going to put this all over just like we did the first one. It's really nice having that frisket in there. You don't have to worry about losing your small areas that you want to maintain. Smooth this all out. It seems to be accepting color on the water pretty well. I'm happy with that. Now we're going to go to the mid value. Have some of that down here, just like the last petal. But we're also going to have some up here. We're going to have to highlight through the center of this petal. Okay, I'm going to get my darkest value. It's going to be right at the center, but not too far out. You want that highlight to stay. You don't want to cover up the mid value that you put in there, all of it. You're going to cover up right up here. Okay, and now we're going to put our dark value right in this area. So what this is doing is the dark is here and the dark is here, and this is creating that highlight in the center. And that's exactly what we want this petal to look like. So that's going to work out perfect. And like I said, our resource material didn't have a lot of value changes, but we wanted to see how this surface was going to work, so we're making up some of them as we go. Seems to be, like I said, blending pretty well. Happy with that part of it. But we're going to see how it takes to the eradicator, how long it takes to dry. I'm going to look at all of that. How it handles or does not handle the eradicator, doing a vein on or detail on wet on dry, wet on damp. We'll check out all of that. Now this dark value seems to separate, so you want to be sure and mix it up before you pick it up off your palette. But that's pretty typical of a darker value like this. Okay. I'm going to just reinforce the darker value down here. It's still wet, as you can see. A little bit darker. All right, so I'm going to clean my brush there. Now I'm going to dry these two petals. I'm going to let this one soak in just a few minutes more first. This is blending a little bit better as it dries. That's good to see. Now again, you'll always want to start to dry on a low heat, because with it, this petal being as moist as it is, if I put it on a high heat, it could actually blow the paint across the surface. So you definitely want to start with a low heat. But again, I'm just letting that one dry a little bit more. We'll concentrate on this one with a low, and I just want you to see how if this is going to work on this or not. I don't know either, because I haven't done this before on this surface. Yeah, it dried it right off really nicely. Okay, I'm going to dry the other one off camera so you don't have to listen to it. And then when we come back, we can go ahead and do the other petals. Be right back with you.